Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the free-to-play cast. It would definitely be helpful if I had opened the show notes. I was so worried about getting XSplit ready that I didn't have the show notes open. But this is episode 227. We're recording on July 13th. You're watching on the 14th or later. We've got the rapid fire round. We've got a new segment that is horribly particular to today, and we'll have to have like an extreme set of circumstances to ever do this segment again. But that's all right. And of course, we've got another first look review and some trash talk, I'm sure, to come. I will be mentioning something Jason said to me yesterday, Troy, that you are unaware of, but it will definitely make an appearance on today's show. Joining us, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you?
Pretty good. So this is episode 227. So, yeah, I don't know if the kids remember. I used to watch 227 back in the 80s, TV show. Marla Gibbs, Jack A. Anybody?
Oh my God, Jason,
anyone?
you're so old.
I'm so freaking old. I know.
I don't even know what that is.
You have no idea. Oh God, go away.
I'm Googling.
Yeah, y'all kids, get off my lawn.
Let's see. When was this? First episode was in 1985. Yeah, I was 4. Also on the line, Troy Blackburn. How are you, sir?
Looking forward to whatever this surprise is you're going to bring up live on air.
Jason,
can't wait for this.
We are currently in negotiations to remove Jason from MMO Bomb and buy out his contract.
For $1 million.
Right, something approximately.
Yeah.
Approximately. But let's before we get to the smack, let's get to the news. All right, Jason, you're familiar with this. Troy, you may not be, so let me give the rundown real quick. We're going to do a rapid-fire round, which we do occasionally on those weeks when we have a lot of news, but there's nothing horribly big in any of the news that we want to suck up, 10 minutes or so discussing the entire thing. So we've got a couple things that happened. No show last week, given the United States holiday and the total lack of news that week. So we'll go through these, get your opinions, get your takes on it, and then, of course, viewers, you chime in the comments below with your take. So keep it short, Troy.
Okay.
All right, so that's it. We're moving on.
Moving on. I think the biggest news out of the small news, and this was big news, but I didn't know if we could talk about it for 10 minutes or so, so I kind of put it in here, but it's the number one, and if we have to spend a little more time on it, that's fine. TennoCon, for your Warframe fans out there, just happened a few days ago, and it's getting a new expansion, which, okay, great, generally good news in general. What's different about Plains of Eidolon is that it's going to add a new feature to the game, Troy. Landscapes. And this is the game's first open zone located on Earth. So if you're not a huge Warframe player, you know that games like Phantasy Star Online, Phantasy Star Online 2, Vindictus, Warframe kind of follows that same C9, that same demo or genre where it's heavily instance-based. You jump to a planet, you do your thing, and then you jump back out of the planet. It's a heavily instance-based. So this expansion's going to allow players to explore a vast natural landscape, do anything you want on it, meet a group of scavengers who are on that planet as well. These are kind of the first NPCs that you could actually interact with in Warframe 2. Different kinds of missions, finding and building new Warframes, weapons, that's all going to be there. And they'll be able to make use of your Archwings in the zone, both for travel and battle reasons. This is kind of a huge update to this game, Jason, and a direction that I don't know if many people saw Warframe going in, the more traditional open world aspects of MMORPGs.
Yeah, it's like I said too. Once we realized MMORPGs were kind of getting smaller, not doing the whole all-in-one, open world and PvP and PvE and this and that and the other thing. Like we saw all these games come out that kind of just did its own little niche. Whether it's a PvP game, whether it's like a shooter or a MOBA, or a totally open world game, something like PlanetSide 2 or match-based or whatever. And like you said, a few of these games that are basically like PvE instance-based, which Warframe was one of, which they did really well, really popular with. So for them to just add this whole other thing of MMORPGs really is a big move. And one that maybe I don't... At first I was like, oh man, you guys are kind of... Maybe you're spreading yourself a little thin. You do this one thing really well. why are you doing this other thing? But maybe this is the way to do it, to have a successful game that goes on for however long it's been, 2, 3, 4 years. And then once you've got that base, once you've got that solid, and have some income coming in from it too, then maybe it's the right time to expand into something different, to try something else. So, I can imagine Warframe fans are really looking forward to this, and it could be a really cool thing for them.
And Troy, that's kind of where everybody, at least the comments I'm seeing, Reddit, various forums, our own articles and forums as well, I'm seeing Warframe players excited about this, acknowledging that, yeah, at the end of the day, it's still an instance, right? I mean, it may be bigger and it may be like open worldy, but it's still this one instance on Earth. You're not going to see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people running around and doing. But it is a step in that more open direction, and I think a lot of Warframe players are excited about that and what it might lead to in the future, even if this isn't as big and grand as they might want it to be. And I think I've seen also some people that were turned off by Warframe being instance-based, kind of watching this to see where the progression of the game goes in the future.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to them. It takes big balls to try to do something this different from what you're known for and what you've done well in the past. So it's exciting to see them try something without trying to completely revamp the game, where the future of the game is dependent on this. They're just going to try it and see how it goes. If people like it, I think they'll obviously do some more of it. Just real quick, I will have to say I love watching gameplay presentation reveals when there are actual players in the audience for these games.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to listen to these folks get excited about different things. Like when they walk out through the doors and there's this big open zone, like the crowd freaks out because it's full of players of the game. And I love watching those videos.
And then he shoots the birds and people freak out over that. Yeah, that was...
Well, we talked about that with E3 too, that it was a little more interesting to watch E3 conferences with players in the audience rather than cynical-ass press just sitting there. And people trying to, like, milk applause and big screaming, cheering moments, and the press just going, yeah, great, all right, it's Mario. Next. So, yeah, I totally agree. And you can get a peek at that, too, by heading over to mmobomb.com. Taking a look at the article, not only is there the teaser trailer that we put up, there's also a 17-minute gameplay demo from the new expansion, and we've put up a huge video on other things that happened during the convention, TennoCon. So lots of good news for Warframe fans to be checking out over the next months as we move into a new expansion. I'm kind of excited about that. Like, I realize this isn't a huge step, but it's a very different step and could lead to some very huge steps. I don't think at any point we're going to see Warframe just go full-blown open world. It's just not built for that. But I kind of agree with, at least in the way I like Warframe, a lot of things that I've seen people say in, hey, I would have liked if they would have done this from the beginning. I appreciate Warframe. I enjoy it casually, but I probably would have enjoyed it more as an open world MMO as well.
Now, of course, my big question is, at what point do you get to do this? Is it like you have to be a level, or what? I don't know how the levels work in Warframe.
Oh,
like
Jason, it's going to be one of those things. The game changes when you get to max level, baby.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
It's Jason's favorite saying. It's funny. I thought of Jason yesterday when I was totally off topic, but I was reading an article about somebody talking to somebody else about Final Fantasy XIV, and I was like, well, that's kind of like Jason. They were turned off by it at the beginning. It was just another this and this, and then they got into it like 2 years later after a bunch of things had changed and were enjoying it and seeing what was going to happen and how long they were going to play it. And I saw in their post that like their friend quit at level 38 and they got involved in this huge argument on how the game changes once you hit level 40 and you quit just shy of that. And I was like, oh shit, it's like talking to Jason Winter.
Hell yeah.
If the game is so much better at level 40, why does it wait so long?
Exactly. That's Jason's favorite thing. Is if the good stuff is at max level, then take out all the other crap. We thought this was going to be bigger news. Turns out really isn't, or may not be. So Jason, I'm just going to turn this one over to you briefly to summarize here what's going on and why it may not be as big news as we thought initially. Ubisoft creative director Jason Vanderberg is now Guild Wars 2's new design director, which initially on the headline And when we first saw it was, hey, that's pretty big news. By the way, what's happening to some other people that may hold similar titles within Guild Wars 2? But as we saw, today or late yesterday, this may not be as big a change. It seems like, to me at least, to be just more of an addition to the team of somebody that has some creative chops. Yeah,
Vandenberg's official title is Director of Design. Now, I conflated that a little bit with the previous, with Colin Johansson, who was the game director for Guild Wars 2, which kind of made him kind of like the top creative guy in terms of like making the game and whatever and overseeing all that stuff. So I wasn't quite sure because they've been talking about trying to hire that for quite a while. The president of the company, Mike O'Brien, had taken on that role. So I thought that maybe this was what he was being hired for, even though the wording was not quite exactly the same. But we've actually heard now separately that that's not the case. Mike O'Brien actually made a statement where he said, quote, "I've been acting as Guild Wars 2's game director. Jason is joining in a different role as our studio design director. That's the person in charge of the design discipline, hiring and mentoring the best designers to fill each design position across the company. Jason is brilliant at this. He thinks deeply about good design, and he's a natural leader and mentor of designers. I'm excited to work with him." So it is going to be, he's going to have some creative input, certainly, and is going to be an influential person that helps kind of shape the direction of the game, at least in some ways. But Mike O'Brien is still the primary game director and top creative guy, so to speak, at the company.
What's this mean for you as a Guild Wars 2 fan? Is it just, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I logged in for the first time in 3 months yesterday, so I'm not that much of a Guild Wars 2 fan anymore. But yeah, I mean, it probably doesn't mean a whole lot, except that maybe now he's going to be one of the guys, because Mike O'Brien was saying, one of my jobs as game director, and no, his job as president was to find someone to fill that game director job. So maybe that's going to be Jason Vandenberg's job now. So hopefully at least he'll get that much taken off his plate. So.
Troy, we haven't had a chance to catch up on this one. I remember all three of us playing Guild Wars 2 together at various points when it first launched, enjoying it. We were doing our thing at Gamebreaker. And some of us were, doubling at other sites at the same time as well, doing some freelance stuff. But I haven't had a chance to touch base with you. Where's your Guild Wars 2 status now? Are you still playing at all?
Funny enough, I just started playing again a couple of weeks ago. I'm using it as sort of a, hey, I've played the Secret Order Legends for a few hours now. Let's take a break, do something similar. So I've actually been playing again. Last night I chose a class.
Wait. Did you just say I've been doing A for a few hours, so let's take a break and do something like A?
Yes.
Take a break and do something similar.
From WoW to Rift, it's similar enough that I felt comfortable, but it was different enough that it felt refreshing.
Tired of reading Game of Thrones, so I'm going to set this down and pick up Some of All Fears. So anyway, your Guild Wars 2 status.
I've got a level 80 boost from Heart of Thorns still that I'm going to use today, actually, on a Ranger. And it will be my first ever level 80, so there you go.
Jason's still
Whereas Mike's level 80 is still sitting in the one zone, probably.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. So when Heart of Thorns came out, of course, ArenaNet sent me a press package and everything, and so I added it to my existing account. Which, by the way, I don't now. I don't have a max level Guild Wars 2 character. I did. But way back when, I switched it to a different server and all that fun stuff, or I didn't want to pay to transfer that thing to another server. And I know that server wasn't ever a huge deal in Guild Wars 2, but I wanted to be directly on the world that the Gamebreaker guys had transferred to. So I just, I deleted that character and rolled new. Anyway. So
there are other character slots.
You don't have to delete characters.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was thinking. I ended up spending more, ironically, because when I got to the new world, I was like, oh shit, I need bags and all that stuff, and so I spent cash on. Oh god.
Are you sure you're talking about Guild Wars 2?
Yeah, and I can't remember why I deleted the character.
Probably because there's no good reason you've blocked it out of your brain.
No, there was a good reason in my head that I deleted the character. It's been so long, I can't remember what it is. Maybe somebody in the comments can refresh my memory on why I would have done that.
I've played 2,000 hours of Guild Wars 2. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Why did I do that? Guild Wars 2 transfer.
MyMom.com.
Don't go there again. Don't go there again.
Okay. So there were costs associated with transfer.
Yeah, you have to pay a little money or gems or whatever. But you don't have to change your delete characters. No like server slots or anything like that.
No, and I had open character slots. I don't remember why I deleted it now.
They've made you change your name, and you decided to nerd rage and just delete the whole thing and burn it with fire.
I don't know, but I didn't want to. I was trying to. The long and the short of it is, setting aside, I don't know. I can't remember why I deleted the character at the moment. There was a reason. Probably just anger. I don't know. But the point was, I didn't want to pay the transfer cost, so I just rolled new on the new server, and then spent a bunch of gems on shit, and then realized I should have just fucking. I've already exceeded the amount that it would have taken me to transfer. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this story. So, Guild Wars 2, ArenaNet, gave me the press stuff for Heart of Thorns, one of the collector's packs or whatever it was, and I got the boost. And I didn't use it initially, and it just sat on my account because nobody on the staff was really playing it at the time. Jason, you were on a little break. Jason started tweeting about playing and was getting back into it, and I said, oh, okay, well, I'll come and fart around in it. I still have an 80 boost that I haven't used. How's the Revenant, which was the new sexy in the expansion? And Jason said, oh, well, go check it out. They put you in a little starter zone, and you get to play around with it at a high level with some abilities and some gear and everything. And if you don't like it, then you just don't leave the zone. You back out of it, and you can use the token to try out another job or class or whatever. Okay, great. That Revenant is still sitting inside that zone. He's never left. He has never left. So, yeah, I'm not doing much in Guild Wars 2. Sounds like, Troy, you're just getting back into it. And, Jason, you just logged in for the first time in a few months. So, yeah, none of us are experts. Moving on. Last rapid fire thing. 2 parts to this one. Duelyst. Jason, this one has been one you've been watching, and Zach was really all over this one. He'll be back in a few weeks. I know some of you commenters want Zach to come back and moderate the 3 of us so that we don't fight like we did last episode. He'll be back.
You guys fought.
He's still doing the internship. But so Duelyst, which is the strategy CCG hybrid tactical type game, picked up a new publisher, Bandai Namco, Jason, and kind of nobody saw this one coming.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, they say that they wanted it so that they can handle the business end while the Duelyst guys counterplay games can just focus on creating the game. And, I mean, if that's what you think is best for your company, then go ahead and go for it. It lets you focus on what you do best and let someone else, crunch the numbers, basically. So, I mean, I guess if you want to find someone, maybe they're as good as anybody, I guess. What would be the other options, that people people wouldn't already hate for some reason or another? How about Daybreak?
Yeah, slowly go out of business. Oh, yeah, speaking of fun company things, you saw that Lord of the Rings Online's expansion is going up for pre-order, but when you click on the link, it actually still takes you to a Turbine site to buy it.
Not Standing Stone, not Daybreak, Turbine. Okay.
Turbine. Still goes back to a Turbine site. Have you ever played Duelyst, Troy? I know you hate CCGs. But this one is a bit different as far as, being a game board different. And a little more Final Fantasy tactical.
So
much better than all the other ones that are all exactly the same.
WoW to play Rift.
Yeah, he was like, I'm done with Secret World Legends. Let's play something exactly like that. But now you're going to chastise Duelyst for being unique. So I'm assuming the answer there is no?
No, never have, never will. No interest, thanks.
God. Wow. Damn. Well, to celebrate, if you link your Counterplay account with your Bandai Namco account, you get a bunch of freebies. So that's cool. And daily rewards, and there's a new expansion alive. So you get, in addition to getting a one-time bonus of 900 spirit and 3 gauntlet tickets for linking your Duelyst account with your Bandai Namco account, you can also get 3 core set orbs and a Bandai Namco healing mystic as a login reward every day, and those run all the way until August 1st, with a brand new expansion, adding 94 cards, 13 for each faction, new titles, game mechanics, stuff like that. So if you are a fan, which Troy is not, bunch of freebie stuff going on in there. All right, moving on to what is probably our one-time only ever segment, a brand new segment we like to call Now Hiring, and We'll See You in Court. Which, I love the title, but damn, Mike, that was really specific. I didn't leave myself. I was like, that's a fun title to say. Now hiring, and we'll see you in court.
Someday we will use this again. Someday, somehow.
I hope so. I hope so, because I was so like, I love saying that. It just rolls off the tongue. It's funny. I like that. But damn, is that specific for a segment name?
It's a once-in-a-lifetime moment right there.
So Jagex Troy is hiring, and we kind of knew they were up to something, right? A couple of months ago, we had some articles that they were partnering up with Spatial OS, a company that designs different platforms for new online experiences. And we kind of saw that maybe that was going to lead to something, but now there are several postings for, hold your breath, an unannounced MMO.
What?
On the Jagex page. So, the makers of RuneScape, which turned into RuneScape 2, which turned into RuneScape 3. I like how they made sequels for a game without actually making sequels for the game.
Marvel Heroes 2016.
You're not wrong.
So they're calling out for new employees to work on a free-to-play, unannounced new MMO. What do you think, Troy?
I think it's big news in this day and time. It's 2017. There's a new MMO coming. That's news unto itself. Who cares what it is and who's doing it? New MMO. That's a rare breed these days. So I don't know. Looking forward to see what they've got coming. Never been a huge RuneScape guy. Definitely, jumped in and tried it before. You can't not play RuneScape if you call yourself an MMO person. But it'd be interesting to see what they've got in mind, because the initial announcement of like new online experiences made you think they were going to do something sort of out there, unusual. So to actually call it an MMO in a time where actual MMOs don't want to be called MMOs, we'll see what they got.
Jason, on the flip side of that, and I guess I can't call myself an MMO person now too, Troy, because I've never actually played RuneScape.
Come on, man. You've never even logged into RuneScape?
I think I might have created an account when RuneScape 3 came out and it went 3D to do a brief video on that, maybe. I can't even remember. But no, I've never invested any time in it. On the flip side, Jason, I don't know if I'm that excited about this one. One, it's Jagex, who traditionally I just don't have a lot of love for any of their products. I know, obviously, RuneScape, wildly successful. They have a following. They're not worried about me in particular. I'm just talking about my feelings on this. I'm not terribly excited, just because I'm not terribly excited by anything Jagex has done, or by things Jagex was doing and got canceled. And the fact that the post calls for experience programming in Unity, which leads me to believe this is going to slide a bit more to the browser side of things. So I don't know if I'm as excited about this as Troy is. Where do you stand, Jason?
It depends on if it's going to use that Spatial OS stuff and if that matches kind of the hype that they had in the bullet points for it. Stuff about having a gaming world is kind of a meaningful history of players, can leave a lasting impression. Item dropped on the ground can persist for years. Allows for an online game world to be built and iterated rapidly in the presence of players. Massive, ambitious games. World much larger, richer, with more players.
An item dropped on the ground can persist for you. There's just shit everywhere.
Yeah, probably.
After the game's been running for like 3 years with 500,000 players have poked in and out, there's just loot and shit everywhere. You can't target mobs because you'll end up picking something up.
Yeah. But anyway, if they are going to use some sort of new technology, even if it's going to be Unity, browser-based, whatever, I don't know how that fits in with Spatial OS. If they can at least try something a little different and make some sort of interesting new thing, then sure, I could be interested in it.
All right, because we kind of like ran the spectrum there, actually, and Jason was the moderate one. That's
oh, come on now. You make it sound like I'm this horrible troll or something, just like new stuff. Blah.
I'm sure its inventory system will suck, and then we can have you back on telling us exactly what you just said.
And I'm sure the game will be fine. The game will really start when you hit level 40.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the now hiring part. Let's move to the we'll see you in court part, because Riot is suing a Chinese developer over copyright infringement, of course. Chinese developer of a little bit of a League of Legends clone, maybe?
A little bit.
Maybe getting sued there. So, Riot taking to court Mobile Legends and its parent company, and not just Mobile Legends, but some of its games. This company's game. Where the hell is it? Moon. I don't want to.
Moonton.
Moonton. Thank you, Moonton. Taking Moonton to court over infringement in a number of its games for things that not only are currently in those games, but may have been in those games at one time. So some people are pointing out, well, this doesn't exist. Well, that's because it's in another game of this company's, and this is a all-encompassing lawsuit. It's not just targeted at Mobile Legends, the game itself, but Moonton and their library of a few games that Riot believes you stole a bunch of shit. So, Jason, while you give us the run-up, I'm going to show a couple of the things that might help prove the case.
Oh, yeah. Chinese company steals things from American company. Gosh, what a surprise. But, yeah, it's like you said, they produced, Moonton produced a couple of different MOBAs. I had trouble following the whole thing exactly, what games were actually there and what were reiterations and changes from the previous one. But as you can see there, they use their logo, which looks very similar. And I also love to notice it says it's a 5v5 fair MOBA for mobiles. For mobile. If you have to point out that your game is fair, it probably isn't. But yeah, once they got rid of Mobile Legends, once Mobile Legends 5v5, I believe was the official title of their game. So Riot, sent a cease and desist or whatever. So they changed it to Mobile Legends Bang Bang, which made a few very, very tiny changes, but still looked a lot like League of Legends in a lot of ways, different characters being the same. If you read through the lawsuit, they show, I think a few characters. I looked at 5 to 10 or so that are really, really similar, not only in their gameplay abilities, but just even the art. They've got almost the same pose, very similar hair or armor or something like that. So,
and I'm showing one on the page
right
now with a character, Jacob, that's actually in... isn't in Mobile Legends. It's in one of their other titles. Thank you to a reader that kind of pointed out that we maybe didn't express that as clear as we needed to, so we did make the edit to the article there. Yeah,
they have characters like, I think Annie is the one who's got the... Now am I getting the two games confused? The little girl with the big bear.
Annie.
It is Annie, okay. They have one who's clone of Garen, basically. So, yeah, a lot of stuff that's just way too similar to be just a coincidence. Oh gosh, we came up with the same thing. How about that? No, you didn't. Yeah.
So here's the thing, Troy, and I'm gonna ask your opinion. This happens all the time, and I understand Riot. You have to protect your copyrights or your trademarks, even if it's a far-flung lawsuit, just because the act of not protecting them leaves you open to not being able to protect them later, at least in the United States and our laws as far as things like, hey, Elder Scrolls suing Scrolls. Remember that? I mean, ultimately, we all thought that was a dumb... nobody was going to confuse Scrolls for the Elder Scrolls. But at the end of the day, it's hard not to see Bethesda and ZeniMax's point of view and say, even if they anticipate losing this, they've got to put forth, hey, we tried to protect. Otherwise, in the future, you can't stand and protect it if you haven't protected your copyrights in the past. Yep. So I get the lawsuit you may think you're going to lose just filing it because you don't want to lose the bigger one that is whatever. We've also seen games in the last couple of years, like what was the one I was looking up today? Was it Chaos Magic? I think that was the name of it. Chaos. I don't know. I'll pull it up. But it was a game that shut down literally like 24 hours after it launched because, and we think, we never got official word on this one, it had to do with all of the assets, or many, Chaos Saga, that was it. Chaos Saga, and this was back in November of last year, shut down 24 hours after it launched, and it looked like, because a lot of the assets were from Final Fantasy XI, like directly ripped from Final Fantasy XI. In fact, I will pull this screenshot up so that you can see this too. Here's the thing though, Troy, does the lawsuit go anywhere? It's filed in China, which, you know, historically doesn't have the best record with protection of copyrights and things like that. But does Riot have a leg to stand on? A.
Well,
and B, do they maybe have a little bit more power, seeing that their biggest investor and owner is a Chinese company in Tencent, which is a big dog over there?
I was just about to say, usually if it's an American company trying to sue a Chinese company for copyright, that usually does go nowhere. But Riot's huge investor is Tencent, which is a huge conglomerate over in China. Tencent's a big freaking deal over there. So, you know, even in a Chinese court, that's not just going to get tossed if Tencent's involved. So, yes, they have potential to go somewhere. And let me say this. I've seen commercials for Mobile Legends for, I don't know, what feels like years now. I still remember to this day, the very first one I ever saw. The very first thing that I said when I saw a little bit of gameplay was, holy crap, that looks exactly, and I do mean exactly, like the map on League of Legends. Mm-hmm. The character art didn't look exactly like League of Legends characters, but the map was almost an exact clone. I would have swore they just copy-pasted some code over. So I've been waiting for this lawsuit for months, if not years. Mobile Legends had a big YouTube ad push for a while, and every time I was like, holy crap, how are they getting away with this? How is Riot or Tencent not doing something about this? I guess the moral of the story is it just takes time to put together a lawsuit like this, and here we are finally. So from a guy who long before there was any speak of a lawsuit for this, the very first time I saw this game said, how are they not getting their pantsuit off? I'm not shocked at all that this is finally coming to fruition. And here's hoping for once. I mean, it's sad that it takes a Chinese company sort of, you know, being a big investor in Riot to get this done. But hopefully something actually happens with it this time.
Well, to be clear, they're not a big investor. They're an owner. Tencent's a flat-out owner. They were a big investor and then bought up all the remaining shares. So it's not just an investor protecting its interest here. This is Tencent owning Riot and going after copyright infringement, which is a little different, I think, or a little more oomph in my mind.
Either way, it's in all honesty probably the only reason they stand a chance at a Chinese court. I mean, let's be real about it. But the fact that this is just now happening is actually a little bit of a surprise to me because I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Here's the official statement from Moonton, by the way, where they say that these are
they did nothing wrong.
Unreal information and rumors. I'm going to read this statement
Fake
in
news!
its entirety. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to read this statement in its entirety, just so that legally, the three of us discussing this are presenting both sides here. Recently, some media have published negative and unreal... It's like it's signed Donald Trump. Recently, some media have published negative and unreal report. Not, hey, we're getting sued. It's the media. Recently, some media have published negative and unreal reports against Mobile Legends. No, they publish reports that you're getting sued by Riot, which is absolute fact. Here is the statement from Moonton. Mobile Legends is a MOBA game that is developed by Moonton independently, and its copyright has already been registered and protected in multiple countries all over the world. Moonton has independent intellectual property rights. Mobile Legends and all the users will not be affected by these unreal reports, and we will keep providing the best gameplay experience to players all over the world. Meanwhile, for some media and competitors who have spread the unreal information and rumors against us, we reserve the right to protect ourselves and pursue legal actions. What a dick statement! Not, hey, the allegations made in the lawsuit against us are false, Jason. And these are our copyrighted things, and we're going to defend them. Players, don't worry. The game's still going to run. It just, like, it flat out says, hey, forget about, you know, we're not going to argue the merits of the lawsuit. We're just going to say that the reporting on said lawsuit is flat out false. And by the way, we reserve the right to come after the sites and outlets reporting the... It's literally a page out of the Trump handbook.
Come at us, bro.
Oh my God. I was stunned when I read it. I was like, my God. What a
Next thing you know, they're going to be
statement.
posting some GIF where they're beating up some icon of some
the MMO bomb logo
match or something.
Oh my God. It totally, like, didn't even say, hey, we're getting sued, and that's what people are reporting, and yeah, we are, but we think it's a frivolous lawsuit, Jason, and we fully expect to defend it and win, which would have been the appropriate statement to make if you think all of that is true, right?
Yeah. Just, yeah.
So yeah, let us know what you think, and if you're a Mobile Heroes fan and a League of Legends fan, and the other side of this, too, is I'm so sick of League of Legends being held up as if it were original, by the way.
You're right.
That's just me,
It was the first MOBA, just like WoW was the first MMO, right?
Yeah, let's pretend like League of Legends isn't a copy of a bunch of things that came before it.
At least they didn't reuse the exact same assets.
Yeah. I'm not saying that the lawsuit is frivolous. I believe they're well within their right if they think there's copyright infringement and they think they have proof to go after it to protect their assets. Even if they think we're going to lose this case, but we just need to set a standard that we're willing to protect our copyrights. This one may seem a little more blatant than most of those. We'll have to watch how it plays out. Traditionally, I would have said this goes away, but Tencent being a big dog, it may go somewhere, but who knows. Before we move on to the bombs, Troy, you did a first look for ARGO. This is the Arma 3 free-to-play version. It's kind of an Arma 3 Lite, if you will. What'd you think of it? I mean, it was a pretty short first look. There's not a whole lot to the game, but what were your thoughts overall?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shooter, and there's 2 or 3 game modes, and it's like control points or infiltrate and download data. I mean, nothing new and original. There's nothing groundbreaking going on here. The game doesn't have like bleeding edge graphics, but it ran okay with some bugs. There were bug issues here and there. It wasn't like the most fantastic game ever. And there's this thing where, like, if I say I had fun playing a game, people are like, oh, he called it the greatest thing ever. I was like, no, the game mode was fun.
Welcome to the internet.
Will I play it anymore? No, probably not. But, I enjoyed it, my time in it, and I didn't have a lot of negative things to say. Sorry.
I watched the first look mainly to see if there were any personal jabs at me. But
that's why I watched too. I totally wanted to see those. Put them in the next time, Troy.
But honestly, I was like, this isn't something I would play. It looked like if I wanted to play this, I own Arma 3, so I would just play Arma 3. To me, go ahead, Jason. You were about to say something.
Yeah, or if you own CS:GO, you play that instead.
Yeah, you would probably.
Yeah,
that's what my thought was. That this is like their attempt to be an esport title or something. So yeah, good for them. But I don't think they're really suited for it.
So what are we giving this? A mediocre at best, Troy? It's
it was a
sideways thumb.
Yeah. I didn't regret downloading and playing it for the first look. So I mean, it was worth it. I didn't like uninstall it and be like, man, what a total waste of a couple of hours or whatever. I had fun. I just won't be back. It was okay. Meh.
So a sideways thumb from everybody. I'm giving it a thumbs down for me. It didn't appeal to me. Didn't make me want to download it and check it out. I have other free-to-play options, and I have other games I've purchased as options. Jason, I think you're in the same boat. More of a thumbs down than anything.
I don't think it's something that'll appeal to anybody really outside of an Arma 3 audience because their engine is a little iffy at times. So if you like Arma 3 but you want this kind of quicker action, it could be good for you. But
all right, moving on. Let's do the weekly bombs. All right, let's see. I'm going to do mine first here. I'm going to give an A-bomb for the absolutely pulverizingly slow and agonizing death of Firefall, which did officially now die on the PC. But for you Firefall fans, depending on when you played, you would be fans of a totally different game. That's not unfair to say, right? That's true.
Yeah.
If you played at the beginning, if you played the middle, if you played towards the end of its life, they were like 3 totally different games.
They were 3 totally different games.
But if you're a fan and you're worried about missing out on that, Troy, your Skype is freaking me out today, man. It's like you're in slow motion.
Dude, my frame rates are horrendous and I don't know what to do about it.
He's like in that Take On Me video from Aha in the 80s. Just kind of got the
boy, okay, finally, you get an 80s reference that I can actually partake in.
There you go. Thank you. Where's the beef?
If you're a fan of Firefall, there's a mobile game coming. Yay.
They didn't have mobile games.
Is that mobile game ever going to see the light of day, Jason?
I think it will.
Remember, Firefall was supposed to be on consoles.
It'll be gone like 3 months later.
or you could just
it'll be a different game 3 months later.
Yeah, and it kind of put Mark Kern's Ember Veterans project in a little bit of a awkward position when it just said, "Hey, Firefall Red 5" was just like, "Hey, Firefall's closing tomorrow," and you know, Mark Kern had to be like,
that was literally the advance we got on it.
That was the advance we got on it. Mark Kern was literally like, "Dudes, if you wanted to get that veteran package that we're dealing with for our new project Ember by being a Firefall supporter or whatever, you have to submit it today, because once they take that database down, we can't verify you were a player." So it kind of put that in a weird position too. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm going to give an A-bomb to. I'm going to be a good person here. I'm not going to say what site did this, what gaming site did this, but they called Morai an MMO. Now Morai, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Moirai. It was on Steam. It was a little indie game that was on Steam. They actually had to take it down recently because they had some issues with hackers, and the developer had to remove it. But it was called an MMO on this other site. And I try to be a little liberal with what I call an MMO, a massively multiplayer online game. I'm a little liberal with that when it comes to covering games. A little less so in my personal life. I think you need a persistent world or whatever. But I'm okay with calling, match-based shooters or anything like that an MMO. It's fine if there's tens of thousands of people on the servers. I can go with that. But I think to be an MMO, you have to at least be able to interact with other people in real time at some point. Would that be at the absolute least, maybe the minimum you would want to call something?
At least to be able to get like general chat with somebody? Yes.
Yeah, to interact with people in any way in real time. I'm not gonna explain how Morai worked. It's kind of secretive, how it worked. You might not have known right away, so I won't kind of spoil how that goes. But it ain't an MMO. Come on, Mike. You and I have had our debates before about how many people you need to be called massive or whatever. This ain't.
Yeah, this wasn't.
A-bomb to calling it an MMO.
You know what? I was kind of sad to see it go, though. I thought it was an interesting little project, but it's just an example of, and they said this in their official statement on Steam when they had to pull it from Steam. It's an example of a small team starting to create something that I think is a bit interesting, a bit cool to mess around with, and just not being able to control or protect at the level you need when you expose it to an audience the size of the Steam's audience. It's unfortunate. But yeah,
everyone grows up wanting to make games, but nobody wants to grow up being a network security admin.
Right.
So.
Well, come on, they were a small little team. It was like a jam project initially. Yeah, but I wouldn't call it an MMO. So, all right, A-bomb from me, A-bomb from Jason. Troy, are you going to bring us out of the funk here with a dub-bomb, or are you going to join the funk with an A-bomb?
I'll go ahead and throw a dub bomb out. I know people are probably getting a little tired of this.
Now that I'm reading that this is the most sarcastic dub bomb in history.
Actually, no, it's not. I am legit happy about this. The bomb to Funcom for finally. Okay, there's a little bit of sarcasm. For finally joining us in 2017 and adding PayPal as a payment option for your MMO. That was literally the only thing standing between you and $12.99 of my monies for a subscription to be a patron.
The Secret
congratulations,
World was the worst game to try and give money to. I hated buying on that site.
That third-party thing they use is horrendous.
Final Fantasy XIV's account system, I don't know, man. That ranked up there.
Oh, initially, yeah. Initially, yeah. That's better now. You just go to the MOG station. But yeah, you're right. That sucked too. Well, that was like that was a page out of Final Fantasy XI's book with the Play Online service.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
It was right around when Realm Reborn launched was when I was trying to figure that out.
Ugh, that was awful. That was awful. From the viewers, Curse says, also, that thing magicman likes to say about players wishing their favorite free-to-play games were subscription-based is not universal at all. It only applies to a portion of players in the US and EU to a much smaller extent. Everywhere else, free-to-play and buy-to-play are still very much the way to go, and when people find a free-to-play game they like, they only want it to keep getting updates and stay cheater-free. This probably has something to do with the way people regard long-term monetary commitments in different countries. Believe it or not, 30-plus days can be long-term when it comes to money if you live in Russia, China, Brazil, etc., etc. And Kirst, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. And I've addended my statement to say that you want all games to be free-to-play till you find the one that you like. Then you want it to be buy-to-play or subscription-based. You want some type of barrier of entry there was, I think, the larger point of my statement. So I'll add buy-to-play to the statement, and I don't disagree with the thing you say there. Good points. Jason.
Yeah, there was some survey we found like about a year or two ago that showed like different opinions on free to play and buy to play in different countries. So I kind of get where he's getting at from that standpoint. Yeah. All right, Nesogra says, "Please have Zach on the next podcast. You salty kids need some adult supervision."
Well, we can't yet. He's still doing his internship. But while we're being salty adults here, Troy, let me tell you. So. Jason does the game pages for MMO Bomb. So if I find a game that needs an official game page, I said, Jason, hey, can you go do one? And so I sent him one for Strike Vector. I said, hey, we need a game page for this. And we typically, in our videos on the game page, we'll put a trailer there until we have a first look, and then we'll put our first look video on the game page instead. Or if we're going to do a first look very quickly, we'll just throw up coming soon, and we'll go add the first look. So I said to Jason on Skype, can you do a game page for this, please? Anticipate a first look in a couple of days. I'm going to get with Troy, see if he wants to do a dual first look, and I'd like to do it sometime in the next couple of days if he's available. There is PvP, so I think Troy and I could have some fun with this based on last week's episode of, hey, the next game we get that has PvP, throwdown time, and let's see what's up. And this is in writing, so I have the evidence that I'm going to need in court when I take Jason to court. Jason's reply is, oh, there's PvP, so you need Troy so he can carry you.
I'm gonna help you rise above the bots.
So this may be the last cast
How
for
strong's your
Jason.
back, Troy? How strong's your back?
Mike's removing everybody from the show. It's just gonna be the Mike Burns show here in a couple of weeks.
The free-to-play cast with just me. God, no, I wouldn't even watch that shit. Go ahead, Troy. Take the next one. So there's my salty adult bomb for you.
Adrian, great episode. You guys had fun and made it fun to watch. I dare say best episode of the free-to-play cast in months.
Oh, thank you.
I want to give a dub bomb to Edengrad. I don't know if I can call it a massive MO since it barely passes an average of 10 players online, but if it is, it must be one of my favorite MMOs in the last years. It's a simpler Project Gorgon progression system put in Fallen Earth settings. Only recently got into it and simply love it. It's early, it's rough, problems galore, but it eventually won me over. The bomb to Edengrad and to episode 226 of the Free-to-Play Cast.
I love when us gamers do stuff. Well, it sucks at this, it sucks at this, but I love it. It won me over. And we all have a game that does that, too. We all have a game that, oh my god, that's annoying, but I love this game. Neo Phantom says, Noob Fridge versus magicman. This needs to happen on the next PvP first look. It will. Oh, it will.
And it's going to get real, too.
Go ahead, Jason.
Michael Loisel says, A-bomb to Mike for being a sore loser. Michael, we haven't heard from you in a long time. I remember that name, so good of you to chime in on this very important topic.
Take the next one, Troy.
I thought we lost connection for a second there.
Kinetic fetus, wow. I'll give you a blank U. I mean an A-bomb to DE. I mentioned this last year that the frames in Warframe are getting ridiculously tedious to craft. Harrow is the perfect example. You have to complete a quest for the blueprint only. Yep, you don't even get the parts from the quest anymore. You have to grind the most annoying mission type, Spy and Defector, then get lucky to find another part from a void-corrupted enemy. To top it off, you also have to farm some damn Kuva. The old trusty wait time is still there as well, 12 hours for each of the parts and 3 days for the completed frame. I understand they have to make their dollar bills, y'all, but this is getting to be a bit much.
I'm going to avoid the whole Warframe pay-to-win debate.
We've been down that road before.
Is there a debate? I didn't realize it was debatable.
James Esparza says, I feel like I just saw Gangsta Magic Man. It's a good episode last week. We had a lot of fun. But I'm giving a dub bomb to Funcom for an awesome legacy player compensation, making the trek from The Secret World to Secret World Legends. I'll just go ahead and fix that acronym there for you. There we go. And done. Making the trek from The Secret World to Secret World Legends all the more easier. Screw you, SWOTOR. Did I screw it up? Did I type SLW?
Yeah, you typed Secret Legends World.
Secret Legends World. Go ahead, Jason.
All right. Asriel Sword says the whole Marvel Fox thing or Fantastic Four can be traced back to Ike Perlmutter and his personal beef with Fox's obsession with the Inhumans, literally being forced into the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Troy's nodding because he knows all this stuff. I'm just like, I watch the movies and I don't know anything else beyond that. Whatever. He goes on. They cut a deal over the X-Men, hence why Fox is able to do the Legion TV series, but Fantastic Four is still hostile territory. Marvel Entertainment and CEO Perlmutter is basically erasing the Fantastic Four from existence, even though the characters are still around. Not surprising, Kevin Feige fought so hard to separate Marvel Studios from Perlmutter's direct control. The way the announcement was handled took most of us by surprise. I already own my Fantastic Four server, but for future gamers, especially on consoles, you're shut out of luck, we'll say. Thank you for the Entertainment News Weekly update there, Azrael Sword.
And Troy just nodding along the entire time silently.
That promoter, he's been so petty. It's like half of the stuff going on with all that is just because of that guy and his ego. It's ridiculous.
Go ahead, finish it off, Troy.
Hadrex Sky Shadow, 2 A-bombs, 1 to Heroes of the Storm event. Okay, Blizzard, are you really that desperate for new players that you're going to pay players real stuff just to play it? Any new player can see the event start and new account at level 1 and win stuff. While the old players that supported and dedicated hours on end in the game have the same chance as the newbies and will drop the game after the event. This event seems so desperate to get new players, and God, I hate random chance. And second A-bomb to random chance. Oh God, I hate random chance. If it was that random in the real world, I would have tripped on a gosh darn nuclear bomb and died 20 years ago.
We've talked about that before on this show, like the delicate balance in trying to entice new players with freebies versus pissing off the people that play your game day in and day out. It's a tough tightrope to walk.
It's like if you have internet or whatever, or if you don't have internet yet, you can get this new deal for only $30 a month. But if you've been on it for 5 years, you're paying $80 or whatever. So.
Yeah.
That's how it works. They want new people.
Question of the week last week, how would you say free-to-play in general is doing right now? And Guestley says, in my opinion, if you want to go free-to-play, you have to do it from the very start. We've seen many examples. One, announcing a free-to-play title, then change mind and go buy-to-play. Everyone loses their mind, and they make some money in advertisement that way, then use free-to-play as plan B. And that's the one that makes me feel, like, dirty. Jason. Yeah. That just gives me a bad taste. 2, announcing free-to-play title, going into early access for years, and only founders can play. Technically free-to-play title, but devs are milking money as long as possible, and you lose some of your player base that way. 3, simply going free-to-play after failed buy or pay-to-play subscriptions. I could probably mention a few more, but my point is that nowadays, free-to-play is used as a tool, as plan B. It's seen as an ugly child in the family, but even ugly children can make you a fortune if you give them the right tools and work to do. That's a fantastic sentence. And even bad advertisement is advertisement. We've heard that old adage, Jason. There's no such thing as bad press.
I've heard variations on that, but yeah.
So in my opinion, and how I see it as a player, if you are sure and have no doubts that your project and go full-on free-to-play, it's like the old days, but if you go free-to-play, as I mentioned before, it's how free-to-play is used nowadays as a tool and plan B. Of course, there are games which launched in the old days and failed after some time. You have to think about the marketplace. If your game as a product is already in a market and your game is not unique or simply copy-pasted from other games, there's just no future. Greetings from Latvia. Well, shout out to Latvia, and some great points there made, Guestley. I don't think you're going to get much argument from any of us on some of those. Jason, go ahead.
All right, Elusive X Treasure says, for the question of the week, I don't think free-to-play is going away anytime soon. I think there's a bit of a tug-of-war going on between free-to-play and buy-to-play models. I play both. I think there's room for both in the market. Certain genres, i.e. MOBAs, lend more to the free-to-play model, while other games can take a buy-to-play stance based on developer or IP, or even just having a good, solid game. Both options have risk and reward, and both options have supporters and naysayers. Pure subscription models are the dinosaurs nowadays, and though some still thrive, I venture to say the required subs are what is on the way out, not free-to-play. Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember years ago the subs being on their way out, and they just aren't yet. So,
well, how many new games have them?
Final Fantasy 14. Troy, go ahead.
Which was out years ago.
Suckapix, question of the week. Free-to-play monetization seems to depend on a ton of factors. Ignoring it outright is putting your head in the sand. Someone encouraging ignorance should be challenged. If you were hired to do a monetization analysis for an upcoming multiplayer game, would you keep your job if you didn't even mention free-to-play? It is and always will be a valid way to release certain games. You cannot roll back time. Free-to-play will never die. It will have ups and downs like pretty much everything, ever. Nothing is easier than self-deceit for what every man wishes that he also believes to be true.
And I think that is a much shorter way to sum up the argument all three of us made on the last show about Barry's article was, yeah, your conclusions are not supported by true premises, so this is a faulty, fallacy-filled argument. And you're kind of silly if you don't at least consider it. Proximities HD, I think free-to-play scene is going to die eventually. Right now, if your games get any label of pay-to-win, your game is doomed to fail due to play-to-win rumors because North American players despise pay-to-win. Second, I believe you have to look at it from a bigger picture. Every free-to-play game that has come out recently has been pretty shit, barring a few games. Revelation Online? Oh wow, another free-to-play MMO that's just like the last one I played. Zzz. That's, you know, snoring. Zzz. Zzz. Also, in my opinion, MMORPGs are a dying breed of game in general. That's why we've been seeing a lot more team-based shooters that are all so boring I really don't get the Blizzard Overwatch hype at all, and games like PUBG and survival games are on the rise, which do fairly well as buy-to-play instead of free-to-play. Finish it off, Jason.
Daniel Oppenlander says, I really hate the free-to-play model. It makes good game crap. One word, in-game crap store. Hate it. I would prefer to have all in my sub. Well, Daniel, if you can find the MMO that has a sub and no cash shop, you let us know what that is.
Yes, please.
Poor thing.
Please do.
Yeah, wild dichotomy there in all those answers. Like, they just ran the entire gamut of...
Yeah, pretty good.
It's almost like there's no one right answer.
Barry,
or we're all just making crap up and have no idea what we're talking about.
That too. Question of the week for next week, with nothing really bigger on the horizon for a bit here. What are you currently looking forward in the free-to-play world? And this is about the time of the year that we kind of hit the doldrums and maybe get some big updates for things, but there really is no, like, Revelation Online or Black Desert Online, which, you know, was arguably going to be free-to-play for a while and then switched. There's no really big things on the horizon right now, gang. So what are you keeping your eyes on? What are you most looking forward to in the free-to-play world? Put your answers to that question and your weekly bombs in the comments below. Remember, dub-bomb for something awesome, A-bomb for something bad, or your questions for the panel. And until next week, Jason, where can everybody find you, sir?
You know, we're going to get 12 people answer saying they're looking forward to Firefall on mobile. You can find me on Twitter at WinterInformal. Getting back into streaming a bit more again, so go ahead and check me out, twitch.tv/JasonWinter. And a shout out to Mr. Adrian for being one of my first subscribers. So thank you, sir.
Yeah. Troy, where can everybody find you?
Twitch.tv/NoobFridge. We're playing Secret World Legends. We're playing Guild Wars 2. We're playing Marvel Heroes. Lots of things. Trying to shake it up a little bit. Play something a little different every day. I also have like 2 subscribers too, so that's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Fantastic. I have no subscribers, but I also don't really stream all that often anymore. I can't remember the last time I did. And I have a different definition of the word different. I don't play Marvel Heroes and then try something different, like Diablo 3. I'm Mike Byrne, aka magicman. You can follow me on Twitter at magicman1. Of course, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so you get all the news, giveaways, first look videos, podcasts, interviews, and all the exciting stuff right into your Twitter feed. Until next week, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.